my first question for you, just opening it up at large.
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
You know, it was crazy. It was definitely crazy, but I don't think we should be so shocked, right? I mean, when emotions are running high, we see this in football, basketball, soccer, you know. These guys are fighters. They've been honing these skills for years. They've been training themselves to respond with violence in a certain way for a long time. And this is a guy in Khabib Nurmagomedov who is from Dagestan, which is one of the more dangerous places in Europe. And, you know, they've been producing some of the best wrestlers in Russia for a very long time. They are a prideful people. You know, they definitely respect their culture and religion and other people's religion for the most part. And, you know, like, if you're talking about all those sensitive issues, they're not going to be cool with that.
Well, I said something similar at the top of the program about that, Kenny. Again, that, you know, how are we shocked that somebody who goes into an octagon and accepts the punishment like that, who wrestles a bear from Dagestan when he's 7, how dare this person not act professionally when it's all over? Because to me, though, that touches upon the fault line of this sport being this. Dana White and UFC wants to be taken seriously, professionally, as a professional sports league. It's a professional sport. And Steve Austin tweeted something out after the fight that I think kind of poked the bear, if you will, a little bit, saying, "I love professional wrestling," is what he said. And to me, that is what, to see that sort of mayhem happen after the fight, kind of touches on the fault line Dana White's trying to avoid at UFC.
Absolutely. And listen, if this happened, you know, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, you know, it would be really bad. But I think we have established ourselves as a legitimate professional sport. And I think one of the main issues for a promoter is maybe not making, you know, the right fights all the time, but it's identifying the right storyline, right, to make the fight. And I think that is what precedes making the right fight. And we have another great storyline, you know, to be honest. And listen, for a lot of people, you know, Khabib has been one of those guys who has had a really bad style for Conor McGregor. The fact that Conor McGregor came back after being 2 years away from the sport and fought the worst style matchup for him in the UFC says a lot. And I think that he could probably do better. There's a lot of adjustments he needs to make. Khabib will always be a bad style matchup for him, but we do have a great storyline. Both these guys are polar opposites as far as their approaches in the octagon. They still have that bad blood, and I think a lot of people would want to see a rematch.
So and I know, again, just to repeat what I said at the top of the show, that we're all going to get there. We're all going to get there to this rematch. Everybody. Dana White's going to get there. Khabib's going to get there. Conor's going to get there. Because there's way too much money and interest to get there. But I'm just glad, again, that Dana White is showing the proper emotion of contrition, for at least for me. Yeah. The other fight fans might be like, own it, Dana. Just own it. That this sport is brutal. That people, you know, are animal in nature, and just go for it. I'm glad, at least for me as a sports fan, that this is not proper behavior. Somebody could have really gotten hurt when he flipped out like that. The reality is, you know, in no way am I making an excuse for it. These guys are fighters. This is something that is very rare in this sport. You know, tensions were running high, not only between the fighters, but between the camps. Did Conor go too far?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely argue that, right? I mean, listen, this fight ended the way it began, right? It started with the dolly being thrown at the bus. That's how this fight got put together. So I guess we shouldn't be so shocked and surprised that this fight kind of ended in this manner. They were not going to be cool with that. And, yeah, he might have gone too far. Now, if this rematch does happen, what's he going to say in the lead up to this fight? He will probably stay away from, you know, the cultural references and the religious references, and he should. I think that was a little bit too far. But, you know, I think he's still going to spit a lot of venom in the lead up to the rematch.
Well, I guess that's what people would expect of him. And he was also seen in footage after the fight throwing a punch at Khabib's manager. I mean, it's just, You know what? It's crazy that Dolly and the bus is one thing, because that's just people on a bus.
Sure.
And I know they're both particularly bad. One got Conor arrested in New York City. Okay. The bus here was a whole bunch of paying customers.
Yeah.
And Khabib's dolly was his fist.
Yeah.
And his body just being thrown in as like a missile into the crowd. What do you think the aftermath is here? We're already hearing Dana White saying that a title could be stripped, checks might not be delivered. Conor McGregor has not pressed charges, which to me I think is proof that he wants the rematch. He's already tweeted about it because he knows how difficult it was. This fight was to set up because of his own legal problems, because of the dolly being thrown at the bus.
Yes.
So what do you think happens here?
Well, again, it's one thing throwing the dolly on the bus. It's outside of a fight. This happened during a fight that was overseen by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and they're probably not going to tolerate something like this. So I would imagine some kind of hefty fine is going to be levied at Khabib and his team, and perhaps at Conor as well. You do see Conor hitting one of the members of Khabib's team who was coming over to actually fight him. So in a way, he was defending himself. I'm not saying that he was in the right at all. Both teams were at fault here. But I don't think stripping the belt is necessary. I think Khabib should keep the belt. I do think there will probably be some kind of fine there. And again, I was talking about emotions running high. This is something I'm not shocked about, but at the same time, if you're going to do that, you have to also be prepared for the repercussions. And I'm sure he'll be paying some kind of a check.
Okay, and then just because we won't hold you to it, and if you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Just throw a dart at a board and give me a date for the rematch.
Oh, okay.
Just give me a date for the rematch. When do you think? Is it this year? No, it won't be this year. So will it be?
It's possible. It's possible.
Come on, they'll put it together before Jan 1. That would be amazing.
Yeah, they might. They got
to pull back a little bit here.
It's possible. They have a main event, I think, scheduled already, probably for the end of the year for the New Year's card. But I mean, crazier things have happened. If they want to let this thing simmer a little marinate a little bit, I think next year, early next year, February. Let's go with that.
February 2019. Get your tickets now.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.